All right, hey, let's see if we're up and running. Good morning, guys. I am messing around with my screens at the moment, trying to make sure everything sits properly. We'll be gearing up here in a hot second, so let me take a look and see if we are live and audible. That is an ooh, that sounds very echoey. That is. I got a lot of. Hold on, maybe if I can fix on that a little bit. Check. Is that better now? Check. Maybe if I can fix on that a little bit. Check. Is that better now? There's a lot of reverb going on. What is up with that? Bring that down like that. Or does that make any difference? Check. Nope, that got worse. Check. Holy Hannah, that's crazy. What is going on? Hold on. Hey, good morning. Let's see if this helps at all. Check. Yeah, there's just a lot of background. I don't think it sounded like that yesterday. Oh, what the hell happened? Desktop audio, mic audio. All right, I don't know what to do about that. Sorry. Check. My check. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening. My setup is exactly the same as it's been forever. Something. Yeah, there is a ton of echo. What can I do about that? I don't honestly know. Let's see. Maybe I get into. Horrible. Whoa, feedback is fucking crazy. Holy shit! Sorry about that. Sounds, spatial sounds. Off. I don't know what that spatial sound was. Maybe that had something to do with it. I'll check. Yeah, but that feedback is just raunch. Sorry. Yeah, this is really. Let's go into open volumes mixer. This is really getting to me. Sounds. Nope, that's not sounds. Give me another second to futz around with it and see if we can have any kind of success here. Open sound settings, speakers. Oh. Huh. It looks like my my Yeti microphone wasn't working. It was working off of my camera microphone. That's weird. Yeah, the Yeti, my USB ports are kind of fritzing a little bit right now, and so I now know that feedback sound is coming from my C360 Pro cam that I have staring at me instead of I've got a Yeti microphone here that I keep doodle my stuffed animal on. Cheers. But yeah, okay, great. So that this is why I do sound checks and I don't make any assumptions. Although it certainly derailed my intro. But small price to pay for. Certainly derailed my. There we go. Small price to pay for freedom. Maybe I'll actually extract and reinsert this one. I normally don't bother doing any kind of editing on these things. I just kind of turn them on and go, and then don't look back. It distracts from the now. But who knows? I mean, even I can get better, right?
Just give me a hot second here to get myself back on my rails so you can cascade down this mountain safely. Just to go through an intro real quick. My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online. And we're creating an adventure for the Eberron campaign setting in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that we're going to be publishing on the DMsGuild when it's done. Probably like around probably March, maybe early April. That's the hope right now. Most of the assets for the artwork is done in the form of tokens and maps that I just get to break up on the pages that you guys have been seeing me work on. But we also have the opportunity to do cool little spot illustrations like this little campfire scene, and it's going to we're going to have a lot of just little vignette pieces all throughout this work. So let me get my screen situated. I'm on the X Twitter platform. For those that are new, I'm at Phil Kearney. I post early looks at coupons, articles, blah blah blah. It's just, it's a Twitter feed. I post stuff about my art and my books here. Here on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we are live in the future, and you can see the entire 361 episode playlist here on the full creation playlist here. Access to my Discord and playtest content, and just asking me questions and shit off while I'm not streaming. It's here. Support through Patreon. God bless you. Here's a slew of books that I've created on DMsGuild. For those that don't know, the Subclasses Revivified is like 3 sales away from gold medal. That's crazy fast. I'm thrilled about that. And in the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules, for anyone that's been following along with the Magic the Gathering stuff, the core mechanics book, this is actually 10 sales away from gold medal as well. So we'll get it eventually, but these are the things that I'm calling attention to for those that are looking to spend in the holiday season. Thanks. So back to work, Kearney. Enough self-aggrandizing. We're working. Okay, we were going to talk about color today. So how do colorblind people not see color yet paint in color? As far as I know, I'm the only one that does. So we're going to use the opportunity here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on color today. I just wanted to demonstrate the process since it came up in the conversation. I want to address it. Just this is the same process I go through with every art that I do then in color. So let's go find the campfire. Here's the fire on top. Burp. Let's go in here. I'm just going to do some quick editing here. Cool. So let's see. Let's duplicate this layer so I can safely mess around with it. So this is how we do it. I don't see color. I can't reference anything personally, but the internet is fucking amazing. And Adobe, I started and kept with Adobe Photoshop because of the simplicity yet depth of the color tools that they provide. I don't need a lot of them. But imagine labeling layer filters. Yeah, no kidding. Let's see. Here's the RGB scale up here in the corner. I know we're at black because the RGB says 000. I know I'm on white because it says 255255. So using that as a benchmark, we can then venture forth into the interwebs. Let's do a picture of campfire. That's what I'm talking about. This, I suspect this is going to be a good one. Copy image, import it. Hey, check it out. I can look at the RGB signal over here. I wonder if that's let's see if there's orange around in here maybe. And look at that. Got some orangish kind of going on. I bet it kicks up to white as it gets closer to the core of the fire. Yeah. There's probably some yellow out around the edges before it pulls out into orange. See, I'm just looking at what the RGB scale is doing, so I can tell what's going on. Here's my rocks down here. I'll use those for samples. Here's the wood. That's a very natural woodish curve, that RGB sweeping along there. Occasionally, like you'll see, like birch will be more like this, like white birch trees. I think are like this, but like way up here like that. So I can just scan the background using the RGB indicator, and all I have to do, since I don't see in color, my world is contrast. So I get to pick out where are the lights and the darks working to complement each other, and then all I have to do is color by numbers. Find a color array with the numbers that I know are good, and go from there. So I've been tricked with like patinas and like color washes on paintings and stuff like that can throw me for a loop. So I try to find as much photography reference as possible. So using that as a base, we're going to let's just grab so I go with lights, darks. So here's a light, here's a dark, and here's a mid-tone. About like that feels. Come on, baby. About here. That's about mid. And then we go to here. Versus here is here. See, it's kind of in the middle. So I can use that as my start. I'm just going to use. I do cell shading like a comic book, and then I just do blending for texture and lighting. So we're just going to start with the base color. For the rocks in general. I know CSP has a Clip Studio Pro has a layer mode that lets you color over another layer and keep the contrast. Fun to use. Oh yeah. I think that's the burn filter in Adobe. I don't mess around with color filtering like hardly, since I have no idea what I'm doing. Like literally I don't. I'm just guessing until I look at the numbers and see if they work out. I keep my painting is very, very basic and simple. I try to stay away from filtering as much as possible, just relying on finding references that can guide me to the proper colors with assurance. And so this should be here, and this should be here, although these are going to get toned out. Let's fix that. Let's have a little rock over here. Yeah, feels good. Yeah. Thanks a lot. There's a few people that will come through and head check me, like Nitrosium. If you see him come through, he'll head check me all the time. Like, are you sure about that color? I'm like, oh fuck. Even though I've been doing it for 20 years, I can still fuck up. So that's the glory of it. Here's our darks. So nighttime dark bits. I'm going to put the dark along the edges here for shade. The highlights are going to be coming in from the fire around it that it's surrounding naturally. So and we'll add in green texture for the grass around here eventually, but I don't need to really show much shadow over here. This is the right color to use right here. And then we'll work texture in when we blend it down, which I'll do here in just a moment. Very just quick little sample here. I'm not diving hard at this right now. I just wanted to, since we brought it up and you said you were going to be around, I thought I'd honor the agreement. And so let's take that there and merge that down, and then I'm going to grab a rough texture brush. Let's see, something that, I'm going to use my razor chisel. So you can see this on screen here. See, it looks like a razor. Like here's this flat edge of the razor here. And then it has that little divot in the middle, like you'd put it into a disposable razor. So I call it my razor blade. Not that it's important, but let's go back to here, just the title. So then I'll use my razor blade and I will push up the opacity or the strength of it to 100% for now. I merged together the rock and the outline layer. It's a little bit more of a swift process than I normally would, but we're just kind of hacking at stuff a little bit here for a minute. But if I push that down to 100%, with this little chisel here, I can push around and generate some rough texture. And since it's 100% pixel, it doesn't smudge at all. It literally just drags whatever pixels I grab hold of, I can drag around. So I can do a little cool little highlight thing like that. Let's drop this in here. Grab some shadow back here to blend that all together, right? So this lets me doing this little cascade effects here, using a rough edge with using a sharp edge tool with inconsistent angles and 100% opacity. I can grab and like jiggle the pixels around to fill in the space a little bit to create that rough texture look. Super fucking easy. I made an agreement with the stream that when I get to 500 subscribers, I'd provide my tool set, my brush tools for free on my Patreon channel. So I plan to stick to that, but this razor brush is one of those. My razor brush, I do a lot of work. Like it's a really great rock for brush, generally just for rock. I have this, and I have a chisel brush that looks like yeah, it's like a chisel, like an ice pick. It's shaped like an ice pick, so it's got really great sharp angles and empty spaces inside of it that lets it make interesting angles. That I built them off of Bob Ross mountain peaks. The shape of this brush I can use to create snow patches on the plane of a mountain. So it was a quick tool I made. Bob Ross painting, happy trees and stuff like that. All of his work, all it is stippling, where you're dotting paint onto the page, and smudging. As all he does is he stipples and he smudges. Once you figure out the shape of the stipple prints that he's using, like the block prints, you can duplicate it in Photoshop. And once you understand his blending techniques, you can duplicate those with smudge brushes in Photoshop as well. So all you need to do to be able to produce Bob Ross effects is a round brush. Hold on, I lost my thought. To duplicate Bob's work, all you really need is all you gotta do is stipple and dot, and you can do all of that with a round brush. But if you have like a square edge, that helps break up surfaces a little bit. And you can get more and more specialized as you go in. But yeah, all you have to have is a hard round brush and a smudge and use smudge tool and ink, paintbrush, and that's literally all you need to be able to reproduce Bob art. But to expedite the process, I created a bunch of brush sets. But I started off with just a round brush, smudge, and paint. And once I started understanding the shapes, I started creating brushes that kind of have like this fractalness to them, that they kind of pour in, like they can be used at different sizes and angles to be able to create replicating patterns, like in branches and leaves and stuff like that. So it works really well for foliage and grass patterns and rock texture and stuff. So, but I think I'm just going to do this one rock, and then I'll go back to work on figuring out the position of all the people. But this is, yeah, super easy, just little rocks. And then if I want to, I can go in here and drop the smudge down to 60% and just work at the edges a little bit to blend that in a little bit more. If I leave the side that's facing the fire hard line stipple, it'll have a different feeling than the shadow when I blend that in. So it'll have a texture change that'll help emphasize the change in lighting. And I just blend that all together and trim the edges a little bit. There, we've got a rock. I don't really do creatures. The MAP part that I've been doing has backgrounds and fell. Oh, fun! Right on. Stippling is once you understand. Well, I'm not gonna say you. I don't want to talk down to you, but I've been stippling for a fuck ton of time, So I've been drawing basically D&D, fantasy, sci-fi art and stuff since I was 12, and I'm 50. So like 38 years of passionately pursuing this as a hobby and only doing it professionally for 26. So very casually. I did full time for just a little while, like a very, very little while. Doing book art in the year 2000 when 3rd edition had just first come out, and they created the OGL license, which spawned the entire, like, helped really jumpstart the indie industry. Like, POD, print on demand, happened coincidentally at pretty much the exact same time. So suddenly you could have a PDF on file someplace, and someone would just print it for you and send it somewhere. That we had never had that before the year 2000. So that's where indie game design came from, is the ability to print on demand PDFs, and the software for PDFs has gotten good enough to the point where you could have, you know, small indie artists like myself be able to produce art for those books. I don't remember the point of that was. Sorry, I am really just riding the waves today. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm losing conversations left and right inside of my head. We're working on. I'm pretty happy with. I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna switch back to black and white. Let's go back to Cross. I'm almost happy with Cross's positioning. Feels like I could. I don't want to crowd her in too much, and I also don't want her to be too big. There, and I think Campfire can probably drop a tick to help. There we go. That feels better already. And let's take the guard and push her back a bit. I like her stance. It's super casual. I kind of want to have her spear with a hot dog on the end of it. That's awesome. Let's see. How are we doing over here? That looks okay. This needs work still, but I think it's going to be fine. Let's hide the tent, because those lines might be creating cross signals for me. But I doodle a sketch, and then I blow it back to background stuff. And then I refine and work the angles. A lot of the gesturing that I do, like really emotional gesturing, comes through very quickly and naturally. But the anatomy is always like really skewed, like to get that extra emotional or physical like momentum out of a piece. You have to distort, like you have to deform it, like in a cartoon. And you can have a certain degree of deformity in your issues, but if you're going for a semi-realistic art style that we see like with MTG and D&D in general, you have to mind your anatomy. So it's I'm still learning the nuances of deforming emotional space in the illustration while being able to retain good anatomy. And that is a fucking trick. So that's why artists get paid the big bucks, to be able to solve those kind of problems. Apparently, I could color with my lines. Hey, right on, man. The more generations go on, the more we're hardwired to perform the tasks. My kids just come in born knowing how to use tablets now. That is Akashic record shit. Cellular memory, man. It is a real thing. And as our generations go on, we become more and more entrained with the society, technology, philosophies of our society. So as new generations come up, they automatically accept what works in society automatically because they're hardwired to operate within it with as little friction as possible. Which is why you can see 2-year-olds pick up and buy games that they like, or buy a Cocoa Lemon on their own on the internet if your credit card's already on the tablet. They can just know how to do it. They just intuitively stumble their way through it. But I'm opinionated. Yeah, so far I'm liking this a lot. Soft features, feminine form. It fits the general vibe. 2 guy, 2 girls, kind of how the party's sitting right now. Bone. Shoulders out of socket, needs to be back here, which means I need to pull this all in to about here. I end up with my own weird, you know, you're exploring reality. I have a bit of a bad habit of focusing on anatomy first. I tend to obsess. Yeah, that's. I'll let you have your own path of discovery, but that is a hurdle of getting being able to regulate yourself so that you know when it's appropriate to apply detail versus structure and form. It's that's just a workflow process thing. It like after X amount of hours of getting excited about a potential piece of a composition and then staying on it too long to overdevelop it in comparison. Like, for example, I'm just about as far along in developing the features and expressions of this character as I can afford to go right now. Because although I feel like I'm doing a great job getting the mood for this character, if I overcommit at this point, like if I start really fucking around with the hair here, I might end up tilting her head or changing the angle or something that renders those details irrelevant. So I need to mind. I need to mind my assumptions about where I'm at in the process. Recognize how early in the piece that I am. That I'm still working out composition. I don't really need to work hard on like I'm working on neck muscles, like the fuck, what are those called? I forget. How am I forgetting what these are called? Clavicle bones in the back. Laterals go along the back, but here it's clay something. Clay. I can't believe I'm like the little cords that go here. I can't believe I'm dropping that. Anyway. I don't use terms often enough. My vocabulary has suffered significantly. I used to be a voracious reader. I would go through a 400-page novel in a day, no problem, in the summertime. Like when I was in high school. Just start up a book at 10 o'clock in the morning and be done with it like around 8 or so. Just burn through it. But I don't read like that. Well, A, my vision's not very good, so books are obnoxious. And audiobooks, as fun as they are, don't necessarily... they pace a little bit slower than that tempo of reading. I think a 400-page book, like on typical English audiobooks, I think that runs like maybe 12 hours. This is a little bit longer, but it's not horrible. But listening to a book isn't the same as reading it. There's something about reading that causes your mind to want to express it verbally. It's like there's some sort of compulsion inside of us to take what's written and verbalize it. I think that's why you can retain so much vocabulary while you read. It's feeling pretty good, but the head's too big. Alright, I just don't have an associated word, I guess. I always know exactly what I'm thinking of, but never what it's called. Nah. That is really pissing me off. Hold on. Just infuriating me that I can't think of that. Open image. And a new tab. Sternocleidomastoid. God, how can I fucking forget that? I was right. The CLE, the clay. There was a clay in there. Sternocleidomastoid. Thank you. Yeah, that's nice. This nice, strong. You can tell somebody's healthy if you can easily see that muscle popping out. If it's lost inside of their neck, it means they're too fat. So if you can see somebody's neck muscle popping a lot while they're talking, like mine's barely visible because I'm still losing weight. I'm still like about 15% overweight. But when that burns off, I'll have my neckline will become a lot sharper. Let's get that hip in there. And we'll eventually armor her up anyway, so, well, light armor. You know what? Actually, something I was thinking about here. Well, I feel a tangent. Okay, so the idea is like no light, medium, and heavy armor. And there's dawn and doffing times. How long it takes you to put armor on, how long it takes to pull armor off. And there's different levels of rest that you can achieve with different levels of armor that you're wearing. And so I know players really don't want to get caught without armor when they're sleeping there. That is one of the major paranoias of players when their characters are camping. So a thought that I was having here, and it's probably just nothing more than just a passing thought, but whatever. The idea is that armor is in layers, so you can take off your heavy layer and be like, you can take off your plate and have your chain still on, and then you can take off the chain and still have your leather still on, and then you can take off your leather and then you'll just have bare clothing. So you can sleep and I think you can sleep and regain decent like hit dice in light armor. So you can shed off your heavy, shed off your medium, and leave your light armor on while you sleep. So you have less time that you need to regain the armor if there's an emergency or whatever. That's an idea. So, and this neck is looking, his head is a little tilted wrong. It does need to be a little bit further forward. Good old sternocleidomastoid. How could I ever forget you, buddy? Something like that is probably good enough for me to get clothes onto her and call it done. I need to soften her face. And scratchy lines indicate wrinkles and aging. So if I don't want her to be super grizzled, I mean, we're talking 7th, 8th level. We should be talking about like late 20s, 30s. So I don't want to age her out too much. And I have to mind the fuzziness of the brow, because that's a very masculine feature as well. There, not bad. We're done your map part now, and it is one. Yeah, so right on. It's always something. Let's take that angle there and bring that in a tick. There, yeah, very, very naturalistic pose. I think that's gonna work. I'm just gonna leave that for there. That's a decent level of anatomy. Get her leg in here like that, like that. So far, so good, right? Thanks. There. Thank you, Timely Timer. I'm like, what time is it? Bing, 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 bing. I got 40 minutes left. So let's see how many of these dudes we can get this level of detail to. This, the size of the sketch. This is is about the environment overall. Looking at all the bibs and bobs. This is a 5-inch wide, 3-inch tall space. So that's roughly on an 8.5 by 11. It's like a fifth of the page, ish. So I don't have to go crazy hard into the details. It'll be fine. Crouch. Here we go. Let's work on crouch some more. Drop him down. Yeah, that's okay. It scales up okay. Like the sheriff page. That's like on page 9. I'm not gonna open a whole another document for it. Actually, yeah, I am. So I don't know if you've seen it yet. Let's go to pages 8 to 12 real quick. There. So yeah, here's the sketch that we're working on here. 5 inches wide and about 4 inches tall. There. Here's the one of the buildings in the map. And then here's the sheriff or the constable of the town. So we're still working on blending, but this was originally a 300 by 300 pixel square, which I was able to blow up and it still looks okay. See, when you use Word for your graphics program, it doesn't need resolution higher than 150 pixels DPI. Anything higher than that, it just downgrades it to 150 anyway. So I believe we're operating at a 300 DPI right now. Yeah, we're operating at 300 DPI right now. So when we merge all this down we'll merge it down basically into a single 17 by 10 plate, JPEG or a PNG, and then we'll lower the resolution down to 200 dpi to overclock the resolution that the Word document can handle, but reduce the file size to 2/3 of what its compressed will be, so that we can make. It's going to be a big fucking document because the size of the pages is double the size of the pages. Basically, it basically has the since it's a 17 by 10, it's effectively 208 pages at the 11 by 5 size that we're going to have in full color the entire book. So it's going to be like 45 megabytes when we have it built out as a Word document, and it'll probably fuse into like a 25 megabyte document. It's going to be a fucking huge monster. So, but yeah, that one looks pretty good. Here's the next one we have. This is the mayor, Jalen, and then this is the commons area. This is the mayor's office that you have access to, and this is Jalen's apartments, separated by curtain. So the whole village, we have the whole village here, and we're still figuring out this page. But here's the different buildings in the area with their roofs on, and as we go through the structure, we show you with the roofs off as different. Like here's the warehouse, here's the barn, here's the community well. So we have people that are gossiping over here about the community well. We got people that are moving sacks around. We got a merchant who works in the and then when this place gets attacked by undead, we have the alternate map where there's blood everywhere and all the furniture is knocked over and there's undead crawling around. But this is the type of art. I mean, the trim art isn't done yet, but once we get the illustrations dropped in, we'll have an idea of what we want the trim to look like, and then we can start working, see if we should or could blend the trim into the environment. And we'll see like little pockets and stuff down here. Once the trim is complete, we'll know what we can bleed into the page or out of the page, like the Spelljammer document that I have. Let's go look at that real quick. I'll catch up with you in a second. But here's, in this example here, you can see the page that it has a trim. These are all navigation buttons down here. So I click one of those, it takes you to the combat chapter, right? If I click this one, it takes you to spellcasting. See, the upper left-hand corner, I have a corresponding icon that corresponds with the navigation bar down here. So, but here, yeah, here's a good example. So you have the same trim border throughout the piece, with this frame that basically fades out to nothing as you go up, but then I can do cool things like blend the frame into the mists and fogs of the astral sea. And you can see down here, since I had like this little corner, I could fill it with like a little spot illustration. Sometimes I do, but I also have the option of creating this texture effect. So the environment of the page. The frame seems like a backdrop. It's either a backdrop or a foreground that's interacting with the text space. I like that a lot. It's a lot of fun, and I think it just adds a lot of unique character, and I can play around with the physics of the page a little bit more. This was fun to be able to do it like a full ribbon across the middle that separates the page. It's just fun little graphic effects like that. And since I tend to have those gaps at the bottom of the page, that's where I tend to do my bleeds and stuff. So just different system stuff. This one was a lot of fun to bleed out this lava environment. So I'll have the opportunity to explore ideas like this as well. This one was fun because of the block text I put in the gray, and then we have the astral flowing behind the gray boxes into the page. I had a lot of fun building this book. All this stuff, I did all this stuff on my Spelljammer production stream, like episode 1 through 280 or something like that. I don't even remember how high we got, but these are the kind of fun things that we can do. So right now I'm just kind of playing with the idea of how can I make these things fit onto the page and look good, and like all this black text has those gray boxes that go on behind them. And like we were looking at before down here, we can potentially play with the borders of the gray boxes to bleed into the environment that the boxes are providing the description for. So there's a lot of ways we can add in more graphical elements that are really low production costs, fast to build, just iconic little graphic shapes and stuff to fill in as silhouettes. It should flow pretty smoothly. So that's where I'm hoping to get to with this piece, and yeah. So we'll see what that all evolves into. This anatomy isn't perfect, but it's a good start. This is a good stopping spot for this particular character. Like, her head's too big. You have to make the head a little bit smaller. The shoulders are a little bit too broad for her frame. I'll have to fix that. So I can probably actually take all of this here and probably bring that down. Here I am. Fucking around with it.
I can probably...
I'm going to duplicate this layer first.
I can probably...
There. And paste. And merge down. There we go. But the more I mess with the anatomy, the less energy she gets. That's just generally how my art works, which is like one of my major flaws. So that's something I don't know how to evolve out of it. So I might actually have to hire a tutor at some point to help me move from that impressionistic state of sketching and develop into better anatomy while retaining the impressionism of it. If that makes sense. There, like that. That actually sits pretty nicely. All right, what's up? I'm working on a 19 by 20 by 1080, okay, with 144, okay. But will be plastered across the entire screen. Right. Are you using a Huion or a Wacom tablet? And is it a tablet or is it a display? Like, I just have a shitty little Intuos 2 Pro. What is it? 400C, I think, with the art pen. It's like a 10 by. Is it a 10 by 9? No. 15 by 9, I think. Yeah. No, it's a 12 by 8. Thank you. 12 by 8. That's what it is. And it sits in front of my, since I'm blind, I have a 32-inch monitor here. And so I have my camera here, and then literally like this far away from my camera is the edge of my screen. And then my screen traces all the way along to over. Well, I've got my mask up. Hold on. There we go. Get my set there. Okay, cool. So here's my screen. And it's reversed right now, but it's for comparison, here's my hand. And then me, I'm right here, and I'm like this close to the screen. Here's my setup. I got my keyboard, I got my tablet here, I've got my keyboard here, and then I've got my screen here. And then this is where I put my
I don't do this normally.
Here's my this is where I put my camera, right here. So I've got a 32-inch monitor, and I'm literally a foot away from it, and that's what I need to do to be able to see. And I still have to lean in like this to read. So, boop. There. Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily like showing off what's going on in the background all the time either, though. So, plus Ravnica guild signs kind of a, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I don't need the bibs and bobs, but I'm not open to advice. So show background. Yeah. Nah. Nah, I'll leave it as is. Thanks for the vote of confidence, though. Crouch. There we are. Okay, cool. So let's figure this guy out. I want to get some angle to him. I kind of want to have him leaning into her. Get some more emotional connection going on between these dudes. Right on. I do not have any cats currently, but I had 4 at one point, and I had to start giving them away. And then 2 of them died from old age. I don't know, 20 some odd years. Now I have squirrels. I've been feeding the squirrels off of my deck almond slivers this year, and not slivers, slices, like thin sliced almonds, and the finch love the dust, but the crows and the squirrels fight over the almonds, and they're at the point that they'll come into my apartment to get nuts if they think they can get away with it. So they're half domesticated at this point. They sit on my porch chair now and just sit in the sun on the chair. It's so fucking funny. But in Seattle we have both the waterfront and mountains, so we have a pretty wide diversity of biomes. So the fun of that is that crows and seagulls are just like in a constant turf war that revolves around dumpster rights. So it's, the ratio is basically they need 3 crow for every 1 seagull. Is basically the ratio. A seagull is super fucking big. Like it can have a 5-foot wingspan. It can get big, and these little crows, they're not really intimidating by themselves, but if they can start circling you like a dog pack, that really fucking freaks seagulls out. So once the crows can outnumber you 3-1, the seagull will bug out, but they can often gulp down a bunch of trash before they have to bug. So even though the crows chase them off, they may have failed the objective of retaining the food. So and then there's also a turf war between pigeons and crows, of course, but those are all in the treetops and along the power lines. But you can see where the pigeons' territory starts and the crows starts, because they'll be on lines basically looking across at each other like, what you gonna do? It's fucking great. I love it. Like, don't you come over here, we're gonna peck at you something fierce. It's too fun. Here to here, let's clean that up a bit. Here. This is like a really sort of propped up. It feels a little bit too propped. I'm gonna drop that out. Leg. Leg. Yeah. I've got, I'll have up to 8 crows hanging out on my deck eating almonds. They're still a little skittish and they don't quite trust us yet. There's, I'm in the northern side towards Everett in Seattle. It's this north side. And the crows are less trusting northward than they are in downtown Seattle. In downtown Seattle, they'll just walk out into traffic to get a french fry. They know you'll stop. Like, they own downtown. But up further up north, it's more savage. So they don't trust humans nearly as much, so they aren't as friendly. They're a lot more guarded. They don't assume that you're going to give them trash, but they still hang out in, you know, like Jack in the Box parking lot and stuff like that. They just don't, for whatever reason, like core downtown is, they pick up on the rudeness of pedestrian traffic and they duplicate it exquisitely. This should be the pose here. I'm gonna conceal the campfire for now so I don't block the view. But this is the pose that I was looking for, like this. It's leaning away from the chick a little bit more than I wanted it to, but it feels more natural, and I can still do a lean towards her. That'll potentially add a little bit more interest to the dynamic. So tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so I will not be here tomorrow, but I have Friday off, so I will absolutely be here on Friday. I'll be back today at 3:30 Seattle time. Normally my lunch would be at 1:30, but management has told us to all fuck off at 3 o'clock. So it's like, we're going to shut down credit. So there's no sense in anyone being here anymore. So you guys just take off at 3 o'clock when we shut down the works. And so I should be online here by around 3:30, and I'll probably be able to hang until 5:30. So it should be a solid 2-hour block. We're going to work on the Echo Knight, which is not an official Dungeons & Dragons class. I don't have rights to include it or modify it on the DMsGuild at all. So I'm going to use it as fan content on my Patreon and provide it for free. But we're going to build out the mechanics and have it in our Google Doc for playtesting. Since one of our playtesters was asking about it specifically, I figured I'd just go ahead and build it out. And I am not a fan of the Echo Knight because reasons I'll happily get into at 3:30. But I've got a strong start idea about how I want to modify the class, and we're just going to mince through some of those details, and then give them a list of bonus powers, and then it'll be available for people to playtest with, and then I'll end up cleaning it up and publishing it on my Patreon. It might not be the final draft of it because we're still in playtesting, so things could get modified, but it's, work in progress. I'll probably do a more complete version when we finalize the testing. This needs to raise up. Not quite where I want it to be. I'm going to do what professionals do and see if I can find a good reference. Forward facing 3/4 view, male, on one knee. Exactly. This is exactly the point I was looking for. Not up on that knee though. I want it back like this. So, but this is good reference stuff. That's closer. Too aggressive. Too pious. Too ready. Nope. Nope, that's not a bad one though. That, yeah, this is the shape that I want. So can I find more of that? Yeah, like that. I just need a better angle. That's not bad either. Give me the angle that I want. How do I find that angle? How do I Google myself into getting the angle that I want? There's obviously hundreds of people that are willing to have pictures of themselves crouching. Maybe I change the language to man, resting, crouch, forward, quarter, view. No, I've never checked that out. Man, sitting on one foot. How about that? Kneeling on one foot. Ugh. I should have suspected I'd get that. But hey, maybe there's a diamond in the rough. Let's find it. Let's find it. Reference images is very important. Some people think that they should be able to do it out of their own head, but as I'm demonstrating, if I can't find the pose, if I don't have enough internal library to be able to visualize the accurate pose inside of my head, I need to accumulate more references in my own library so that I can visualize it. So I have to absorb information like this, and while I'm at it, I may as well extract a picture and just keep my eye on it. I won't trace, but I will take the guide. I can free line looking at something and be able to trace it visually, or trace it mentally in my head and be able to reproduce it on paper. So it's just a matter of finding the right angle. I've had art directors and books that I've worked on specifically give me photo references, use this stance specifically, or if they don't like the postures or posing I'm providing for my characters, like show me the references that you're using that's producing that result, and then they'll approve or alter or provide me with a different one. That isn't horrible, but I want more relaxed than that. This might, I don't know if this is entertaining or not. This is just part of, we make sausage on this channel. Whether it's cool or boring or innovative or super basic, it's just, I log in, I come in the morning, I log in time to get the piece done. At the end of the session, we're further along the process than we were when we started. So, let's see. Resting one knee forward view. They keep showing me this guy, so let's see if there's something else down here that's better angled for us. Yeah. Something like that. That's not too far off the angle that I want either. It's not the angle. It's not the angle I was going for, but it could work. That's not a bad idea. Little small. That campfire seems a little big. That guy's at a good place. I like that. I could be content with him as is. Let's create a separate folder for ref. But yeah, if I can find one where his other leg is lifted like I had, but that's the pose just backwards. So maybe I can get lucky with a reverse image of that. Not quite. Too aggressive. Not quite. If I have to, I'll just take a picture of myself. That's still up too much. that's taking a that's how you have to tend to yourself when you take arrows to the knee. That's how you have to tend to yourself when you take arrows to the knee. But between this guy and this guy, I think I can probably get the angle right. That's a different angle, though. You know, honestly, the more I look at it, the more I like this one. It's more open. I like it. I like the chest opening to the camera, leaning towards her. That feels good. I think I'm gonna go with that one. 7:45. I got about 5 minutes left. So hey, at least we found it. Now that we did. Let's link her out of the way. Stitch that up. Da, 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 da. Forward stop. Not getting anything done right now because my silly tube. Them kitties. They know when it's time for work and time for play. I'm just about out of time for now. Which is fine. We're having a great... This is a good day. This is a good day. Yes, that's right. We are on their schedule. They see time differently than we do. They know what needs to be done. I need to distract you now so that you don't leave the apartment in 10 minutes, so you don't get hit by a bus. So, pet my belly. Oh, it's a belly. Can't fight the belly. It's like, I know. I'm saving your life, human. You'll never understand how much you mean to me. Started playing with blood dice for the barbarian last night. I got on a mental tangent about what's going on with, you know, what is the Blood Hunter all about, and what can we do to mess with that fantasy a little bit. And I decided, it seems, for the playtesting at least for now, it seems to me the most sensible class of those that of the 13 that actually exist. And that Barbarian would be the one that would lean the most into expending hit dice for resources, as in mana. So that's where we're at. That's what I'm leaning into right now with Barbarian, is giving them some unique uses of hit dice depending on what their subclass is. Which is great, because of all the subclasses, of all the classes, the Barbarian has the least resources, like external additional resources available to them. Like Fighter has Second Wind and Action Surge. The Rogue has Sneak Attack dice. The Bard is also absent of any real resource because it's hardwired into mana already. But like, yeah, those are the 4 core, and then of course, you know, the Ranger and the Paladin, they're already built for resources like that. So, but the Barbarian is the least of which. So having them have additional means of generating mana. Oh yeah, that's right. The Monk has the automatically gain mana whenever you get into combat sort of idea. So all the martial classes have good means of generating resources on their own already built into their chassis. The Barbarian didn't. You can use Reckless Attack to gain additional dice when you're doing strikes, but that doesn't help you with your utility stuff, your exploits, your maneuvers, your reactions, sustained powers. These are all things that other classes can generate free mana to have as more resources. The Barbarian doesn't. So I think the hit dice, manipulating the hit dice is probably the best way to go, but we have to test it. So that is what one of the testing, and I'm really hoping in the play testing we have somebody that's willing to play Rangers so we can see how effectively exchanging action economy for casting instant and concentration spells will work out. But that is just about the end of today, or this morning anyway. Yeah, aboutish like that. It actually feels really good from like that peak effect that's going on there. That feels really, really natural. I really like that. So this is turning out nicely. We're going to be back tomorrow morning to continue working on this. I think we'll probably clean up his anatomy a little bit and then work on the gal that's on guard in the back, and then they'll all be at the same level of quality as the foreground guy. Then we're going to work in the forest environment in the actual background beyond the tents, so that the negative images can work with the silhouettes of the characters, because I like where their elevations are all at. This is feeling pretty good. I think I can afford to shift him down just a touch there. Yeah, that feels really good. And then I think I want to push, I feel like I want to push the guard back just a smidge. Push those back just a little bit more as well. Yeah, that feels pretty good. This is coming along. Decent little comp, and then we can just do a fade out along the edges here. I can do like a little borderless vignette where it just bleeds out into the environment around it. But yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm really fucking happy with that. So far so good. This is gonna be a nice little piece. It's just a nice little campfire thing. That campfire is too big. There. That's about the right size for that. And we might have to pull this. Pull those over a touch. And bring the whole complex back over to the left there. That feels pretty good. And bring his butt up a bit. I'm really futzing with these perspective details because they're so close to the ground. I want to make sure I have the angle correct so that I can catch it. That feels good. I like that. So we'll go there, then here. S'mores guy. Bring him up a touch. Probably have to work on the angle on him a little bit. Bring that all down a touch. The tents now feel too elevated. It's cool. Bring those down. Pull them in a little bit. Now the guard feels too tall. Bring her down. Yeah, I don't want her. I don't want her messing around with that border. So I'm okay with her there. I'm okay with her. Campfire around. Yeah, she's a problem. That guard standing there is a problem. Because these four elements, the tent, the s'mores guy, the standing guard, and the campfire, are at odds with each other for perspective. Meanwhile, I have to maintain this relationship between these two and the tent behind them in a line. He's starting to, yeah, I think S'mores is starting to feel oversized. I think that's where the problem's at. Bring them down a tick. Forward a bit. That helps, but that back tent is too tall. Here. And then maybe we skew it just a smidge. Here. just off. It's just off a smidge. Now it feels less grounded. So I need to push that out a bit, this out a bit, and then let's take all of it and maybe push them a bit smaller so they fit in frame a little easier. Yeah, now they're too small. Okay, so I just need to pull them in. Here, I've got like, oh yeah, it's time for me to go. Was it, who was it? It wasn't, was it, I don't remember what artist said, stop when you want to keep going so that you're excited to start again next time. Like, don't stop when you finish something, start when you really want to get something right. And that's where I'm at. I really want to get this right. So, but I don't like that. I like the back of the character to the edge of the screen. It pulls us inward towards the piece. So I'm going to make sure that we flip horizontal and use this perspective. All right, I definitely want to keep messing with this. So this is the best time for me to stop. I can't. My muse won't let me go. Come on, baby. Now I really need to have that forest in there to help fill in that space. There's like too much negative space, right? So we'll bring that down to there, and that's going to give us good framing, and then we'll be able to have forest line here with some trunks and shit. I think the s'mores guy is ultimately my problem with what I need to do to circle this square. All right, I got to get out of here. Yeah, Ranger's cool. Yeah, I like the idea, like, while you're raging, you can spend hit dice to get extra mana. I think that's a great class feature. We'll see it. We'll see it later on today. I'll be back at 3:30 Seattle time till probably like 5:30 or 6. We'll work on a variant of the Echo Knight. We'll look at the Barbarian and play around with that a little bit more, and update the Forsaken subclasses from the Barbarian and get them current as well. I'm gonna put the Theros backgrounds on hold for a little bit. We'll hold off on that until Saturday. So that's it for now, guys. I will be. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me, Art. I will see. Hopefully, I'll see a batch of everybody around 3:30, which is 7.5 hours from now. So, see you guys then. Cheers.